Today's episode is sponsored by War Thunder. At the Paris Air Show, a Soviet supersonic jet puts on a dazzling display for thousands of spectators. Trying to outshine Western rivals, the pilot pushes the aircraft further, pulling into an extremely steep climb. Seconds later, the jet loses speed. Then, it rips apart, raining fire and metal over a quiet French town. At first, it seemed like a catastrophic failure, but the investigation that followed was fiercely contested, revealing a web of politics, international tension, and competing agendas that reshaped supersonic flight forever. On the final day of the Paris Air Show, the world gathered at Le Bourget Airport to witness a duel. On one side was Concorde, the refined product of a British-French alliance. On the other was the Tu-144, the pride of the Soviet Union. Mockingly dubbed the Concordski by critics, it closely resembled its Western rival, but the Soviets were determined to prove it wasn't just a copy, it was better. The Tu-144 was larger, built to carry up to 150 people at twice the speed of sound. Its four engines were adapted from heavy bombers, giving it impressive speed and climb performance. The Soviets also managed to fly their prototype first, just months before Concorde. It was a massive propaganda victory, but their success was fueled by a secret. The USSR had deployed a massive spy network to steal designs from the Concorde project. Declassified CIA documents show that thousands of pages of technical data were funneled to Moscow, which is why the two planes looked so similar. But having the plans wasn't the same as having the technology. Working under intense pressure from the Kremlin to outpace the West, Soviet engineers had to improvise. The result was a rushed machine that looked impressive on paper, but its real-world limits weren't fully understood. And with national pride at stake, the Soviets prepared to showcase it on the world's biggest stage in aviation. That afternoon, the crowd at the Paris Air Show was tense. Concorde's pilots had already flown, giving a controlled demonstration of smooth turns before a professional climb. It was exactly what you'd expect from a passenger jet ready for service. But for the Soviet crew watching from the ground, it wasn't enough. Airlines would soon be deciding which plane to buy after the show, and they knew the Tu-144 had to stand out. The commander that day was Mikhail Kozlov, legendary test pilot who co-piloted the Tupolev's maiden flight. Known for pushing aircraft to their limits, Kozlov thought the Concorde display lacked fireworks. Shortly before takeoff, he told his crew,
"We'll show them what this plane can do."
Kozlov wanted to show the world what his plane could do. If you want to push the legendary MiG-21 or Mirage 3 to their absolute limits, you can, thanks to War Thunder. It's the most comprehensive vehicle combat game available now for free on PC, consoles, and mobile. They have over 2,500 historically accurate planes, helicopters, tanks, and ships from 10 major nations, so you can take command of everything from early 1920s biplanes to today's advanced fighter jets and main battle tanks. The combat is immersive with realistic graphics, authentic sound effects, and highly detailed vehicles. I really enjoy how each is modeled down to its individual parts, like engines, fuel tanks, and crew that can be hit by enemy fire. So if you like military history, this is the ultimate game. Join a community of over 95 million players in epic PvP battles. Use my links in the pinned comment or video description to play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile. New and returning players on PC and consoles who haven't played in the last 6 months receive a massive bonus pack with premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account. Limited time only, so don't miss out. Now, back to Paris. The Tu-144 lifts off at 3:25 p.m., and Kozlov pushes hard from the start. Instead of a smooth climb, he drives the four engines to maximum thrust, pulling into a steep, near-vertical ascent while banking sharply to the left. It's the kind of maneuver you'd expect from a fighter jet, not a commercial airliner. The acceleration is so violent it pins the crew to their seats, and spectators watch in awe as the aircraft roars over Paris. After the climb, Kozlov levels out and positions for a final pass so the crowd can see the jet's speed up close. His plan is simple: a low flyover of the runway, followed by a steep vertical climb to 10,000 feet to showcase the jet's technical limits. It's a high-stakes maneuver with very little margin for error. Minutes later, Kozlov executes the dive, and as the aircraft races over the runway, he pulls the nose up for the final climb. But the jet is pitching too steeply, and it begins to lose airspeed. Inside the cockpit, warning lights flash as the crew scrambles to respond, and a stall alarm sounds seconds later. With speed critically low, the nose suddenly drops. Plunging into a near-vertical dive, the Tupolev loses hundreds of feet in an instant. Kozlov desperately tries to regain speed, but he's running out of altitude. The crowd immediately realizes something is wrong. Their cheers turn to screams as the aircraft drops to just a few hundred feet above the ground. Inside the cockpit, the ground proximity warning system blares. Kozlov and his first officer pull back on the controls in a desperate attempt to recover from the dive. But the stress is too much for the jet to withstand, and the left wing snaps off at the root. Without the wing, the aircraft becomes uncontrollable, rolling violently as the remaining structure disintegrates. In a fraction of a second, the pride of the Soviet Union is ripped to shreds. Fuel from the ruptured tanks ignited instantly, and 250,000 people watched in horror as burning wreckage rained down over the town of Goussainville. The main body of the fuselage, still loaded with fuel, crashed directly into a residential neighborhood. 15 houses were leveled on impact, and a massive fireball rose hundreds of meters into the air. Organizers immediately halted the Paris Air Show. It was the first time an accident had ever stopped the event. Meanwhile, the chaos on the ground left a lasting scar on the people of Goussainville. Several children were among the injured, and a nearby nursery school was completely destroyed. Fortunately, it was closed at the time, and emergency services rushed past its ruins along smoldering streets to reach victims trapped in the wreckage. Dozens were transported to hospitals with injuries ranging from minor burns to loss of limbs. Entire streets lay in ruins, and more than 170 people were left homeless. By the time the fires were brought under control, all 6 crew members had been confirmed dead. The full human cost, however, was still emerging, and public attention quickly turned to what had caused the crash. In the days that followed, French and Soviet authorities launched a joint investigation, but it was anything but cooperative. The Soviets were obsessed with protecting their engineering secrets. The French, on the other hand, were concerned about how the crash might affect the future of supersonic travel, including Concorde. The mounting tension quickly became a problem, and the Soviets even refused to allow a full reconstruction of the wreckage in case it exposed weaknesses in their design. After months of tense negotiations, the Commission released its report on October 1973. It stated that the cause of the disaster could not be determined. No mechanical failure was officially identified, and no one was blamed. Critics questioned the lack of transparency, viewing it as a convenient outcome for both sides. It allowed the Soviet Union to defend the aircraft, while France avoided a diplomatic crisis and scrutiny of Concorde. But for many, that wasn't enough. With no clear explanation, several theories have since emerged. The most widely discussed involves the French Air Force. For years, rumors circulated that a French Mirage 3 fighter jet was flying nearby, allegedly capturing photos of a unique winglet towards the front of the Tu-144. Some believe Kozlov spotted the Mirage and made a sudden evasive maneuver to avoid a collision. At high speed and low altitude, that sharp turn could have overstressed the structure and caused the wing to fail. French officials later admitted that a Mirage was in the area, but denied it was ever close enough to interfere. Another theory focused on the cockpit. Reports suggested that a crew member was filming the flight with a handheld camera for Soviet engineers. According to accounts, the camera may have been dropped during the high-G climb, potentially jamming the flight controls and preventing the pilots from pulling out of the final dive. The third theory focuses on the aircraft's performance during the maneuver itself. Several pilots and aviation experts commented that the Tu-144 was never intended to perform such aggressive maneuvers. Its delta wing design relied heavily on forward speed to generate lift, making it particularly vulnerable as airspeed fell during the climb. Any attempt to recover would have required significantly more time and altitude than the crew had. One aerobatics pioneer later put it.
He pulled the nose up so steeply I didn't believe he could possibly recover.
Regardless of what caused the crash, the West's enthusiasm of the Soviet jet evaporated overnight. The Tu-144 did briefly enter passenger service, but it was plagued by noise, vibrations so intense they caused air sickness, and chronic reliability issues. The final straw came in 1978 when another Tu-144 crashed during a test flight, killing 2 more pilots, and it was withdrawn from service in 1983. 8 people were killed on the ground at the Paris Air Show, including 3 children who were playing in a garden. Around 60 others were injured, many with life-altering burns. Again, thanks to today's sponsor, War Thunder. Don't forget to play for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile now using my links in the pinned comment or video description. If you're new or haven't played in 6 months, you will receive a massive bonus pack on PC and consoles, including premium vehicles, in-game currency, and more. If you found this video interesting, please consider subscribing to catch more of our videos.